What is it about vampires that people love so much?
Vampires took over the entertainment world.
It talks about our society and our humanity by looking at monsters.
It's the pathos of the human condition, which is really ultimately everybody's search for love.
It's so hard to talk about the show without talking about sex.
I was just in awe that I was able to get this type of opportunity.
It's been the best job I've ever had in my life.
This was a situation of extraordinary, sublime talent.
It sort of was this amazing amalgamation of creativity.
It's changed my life.
It's going to be very emotional now that we wrap up the final season. It'll be a real goodbye.
I had a dentist appointment in the Valley.
Oh, God.
I think it was in Encino, and for once in my life, I was early. And I had like 20 minutes to kill, so I went into a Barnes & Noble, and I saw a little paperback by Charlene Harrison. And the tagline on the front was, maybe having a vampire for a boyfriend isn't such a good idea. And I thought, that's funny. I'd never read any vampire fiction before, but I could not put it down. It was funny and smart and very authentically Southern, and I'm Southern, so I responded to that. And I thought, you know what, this would make a really good TV show.
Y'all have True Blood. For real.
You get vamps in here? I didn't even think we had any in Louisiana.
I think the idea of vampires having come out of the coffin and trying to assimilate into mainstream society is a pretty brilliant idea.
You two need to leave.
All right, fuck you, Billy Bob. Fuck me.
It's certainly an angle on the vampire story that, to me, when I first read it, felt incredibly fresh, and it made it sort of mundane, which I think is what is so great about her books and about the show.
I remember when they first called me to tell me that I was cast. I was alone. I was staying at a friend's house, and I remember just wanting to celebrate so badly, and there was no one there in this like empty house, and just kind of doing this little dance by myself in the living room. It was just a dream come true.
Casting's always kind of funny. You'll start to doubt the sides.
Yes.
And then somebody comes in and makes it work, and then it becomes very obvious.
It's true. It's, sometimes you're sitting there going like, oh, I thought this scene worked, but it really doesn't. And I'm going to have to completely rewrite this. And then the person comes in who makes it work.
Thank God I don't have to do anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank God I don't have to work any more than is absolutely necessary.
John, check the catfish.
I remember the casting director called me and she said, would you be interested in Anna Paquin? I was like, isn't she too big for this? Would she do this? I'm confused. They said, no, she really read it. She really responded to it. She'll come in and read for you, and you did, and we made you jump through the hoops.
A little bit, yeah, but that's fine. All the jobs I've ever really loved were the ones that I had to do some hoop jumping. Otherwise, what the hell's the point?
I remember being very nervous asking you, how do you feel about dyeing your hair blonde? I don't know why, but I thought you would say, like, I'm not going to do that.
That's really funny.
I know. I know, and your answer was like, sure, whatever.
I was like, I can't guarantee I'll look good as a blonde, but I'll totally do
it. We had a really hard time casting Bill. We had actually taken a couple of people to the network, and they had said that's not the right person. And I was thinking, how are we going to find this guy?
I was in London, and I had just returned home ignominiously with having been fired from a pilot. I'd just decided that that was it, and I'd given up, and I told my manager I didn't want to read anything. And then she said, okay, there's one script. Read the script, and I won't make you read any others. And that was your script. And that morning, went in. It's the first time I'd ever done the Southern accent. I hadn't practiced it. I just walked into the casting suite in London and put myself on tape.
The size of that file was about this big. It was about the size of a postage stamp. And the minute I started watching it, I kind of went, oh, okay, we found him.
Who's that?
Oh, you noticed him, did you?
No, it's not like that. I just...
Everyone does. That's Eric. He's the oldest thing in this bar.
3, 2, 1, go!
I remember the first time I met you, you had really long hair. And the second time...
Not wig long, but like...
No, it was long. You had long hair. I thought you looked like a Scandinavian farmer.
Okay. Thank you.
You came in to read for Bill.
Yeah, I read the first book and I was like, I'm gonna audition for Bill? There's like a Viking Swedish guy here. But hey, why not? You know. So
but that was for the pilot, and Eric doesn't show up until the 4th episode.
Right.
So.
Right.
But when you walked in, I kind of went, oh, that's Eric.
My life sucks.
Tara, don't you be feeling sorry for yourself. That's just lazy.
But why can't I keep a job?
Maybe because you can't keep your mouth shut.
Who asked you?
I'll never forget when I came into that first scene I did with you and you just kind of opened your arms and you welcomed me. And I cannot tell you how safe I felt to work and be okay, even though I was really nervous. I was really nervous. Like, please don't fire me. Please don't fire me.
I still worry about that.
Yeah.
I remember their first day.
Yeah, it was down at Alex's bar, parking lot in Long Beach. You'd just flown in from the
Philippines.
Yeah, literally just flown in.
Literally. Went to a Fang fitting. Went to wardrobe. They strapped me into that corset I couldn't sit down in. Met Anna and Steven. Who's the doll?
Pam, this is Suki. Suki, this is Pam.
Pleased to meet you.
And I remember being so out of it that you had a line in Swedish.
Och lilla djurpark börjar växa till sig.
And I remember saying to you, is that Cambodian? And you went,
yes.
No.
Yes, I'm happy.
And you probably thought, who is this chick I'm stuck with? And I was like, I think he's kind of serious.
I don't know if it was the first day, but one of the days on the pilot was 4 in the morning or something, and you and me and Anna started improvising.
Ooh, suck it. Chicka, chicka, brown round.
It started with this one, though. He started doing it.
They ain't scared of you, honey child. They scared of what's between your legs.
Well, I say that. That's nasty talk. I won't listen to that.
It was like we were on some kind of psychotropic drug or something.
Y'all bitches just don't know what you're missing. I got 6 gears on these hips.
No, baby. You don't know what you're missing. You can watch her walk away, make you want to slap it.
And then Lynn starts slapping herself on the butt.
Yeah,
It was
6 gears.
I was like, all right, let's go. And
Peaches
crazy.
and cream, peaches and cream.
And that's when we started
give
doing
you a little
this.
cocoa.
Little cocoa and peaches and cream and all this stuff.
Take these, baby. Peaches and cream.
I give you a little cocoa.
Cream.
Little cocoa.
The script supervisor turned to me and said, they're not anywhere close to the lines. And I said, it's okay. It's totally okay.
With the nature of the show, too, because it is not necessarily that episodic classic where you sort of go back to where you start, that we as actors have a chance to play breadth and silence and live with these moments. It's about creating yourself. So that's, which gives you something of a journey to go towards.
You're one sad, sorry freak, Bubba. Get a grip.
Jesus, tits and God America, Jason. What is happening to me? I have found the writing consistently to be so self-evident that what you need to play a scene is 99.999% built into the scene. And that's my justification for why I've never done any homework on this show.
That's hilarious.
All of these approaches are equally valid.
Yes.
True Blood fans are the most passionate fans in the world, hands down. It's on the streets of Paris, I'd have someone point and yell, Le Loup-garou, which is, the Wolfman, or being, Barcelona, Spain, and El Hombre Lobo.
It's like a live audience in a way. I've had people come up to me and tell me they cannot stand the pitch of my scream. And then I have people who come up dressed like Ginger, and the love and enthusiasm is overwhelming.
You do get some crazies every once in a while who don't have boundaries and are, you know, asking you to lick them and bite them and, you know, do all of that crazy stuff. So, but you know, I wouldn't have it any other way. I have a lot of fun with it.
The fans of this show are
dedicated,
passionate,
nuts.
They are a godsend because, I mean, they turn
without them, we don't have a show.
Yeah, exactly. They turned the show into the phenomenon that it became, and we love each and every one of them. I had never been to Comic-Con, and there were literally like 6,000 people. And it hit me that, wow, there's a lot of people who really like this show.
I love me some suke.
You mean suke? Suke.
I'd like to hear it again one more time, please.
Suke.
When you're at Comic-Con, it's like you're the Beatles. I mean, I felt like the president for half a second, you know? It's really a blast. It's kind of scary, though, sometimes a little bit.
I got a message on my Facebook page. I am a vampire, and I'm not happy with the way we are portrayed on this show.
The Kenya airport, I got recognized, and I was like, wow, in Kenya. And then she was like, yeah, I love the show. And I'm like, where are you from? She's Texas. I was like, oh my gosh. That doesn't totally count.
So exotic.
So didn't somebody get a speech of yours tattooed on their ass or something?
Oh, yeah.
No, seriously.
You know the speech about magic?
What animates you no longer animates me.
What does animate you then?
Magic.
Oh, come on, Bill. I may look naive, but I'm not.
It's probably that big on her back.
Wow.
And it's probably 70 or 80 words.
Just because you understand the mechanics of how something works doesn't make it any less of a miracle, which is just another word for magic.
I love that the show speaks to them the way it does because I think the show is crazy entertaining. It is a fun ride. This is the kind of thing you hope for, is for people to love the show as passionately and as deeply as they do.
True Blood broke some sexual boundaries on television. It's certainly the first time I know that my parents have sat down and watched softcore pornography together. So in that sense, it's definitely broken some boundaries. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
The truth is, out there in the world, people are weird. People get freaky. It's okay.
The horrors of intimacy, I have to admit, is a phrase I pulled out of my ass when somebody at HBO, basically, I was on the phone, and they said, in one sentence, tell me what the show is about. And I kind of went, the horrors of intimacy. And he said, okay.
I would not have been able to pull that out of my ass. That's pretty good.
And ultimately, I think that actually is what the show is about. How could a show about the horrors of intimacy not address love and being in love and what that means? Because to me, vampires are kind of a metaphor for sex.
You know, I read in Hustler, everybody should have sex with a vampire at least once before they die.
Every character in the show has gotten a chance to sort of fall in love, get their heart broken, pick up the pieces, and keep going.
It's also when you take a human life and measure it against a vampire life, vampires can have so many loves over the course of their lives, and humans have less time to have those loves. So, I mean, it's things like that that we're playing with.
What was so wonderful about getting this character, the beauty and the poetry in it, is that he falls in love.
For the first time in 140 years, I felt something I thought had been lost to me forever.
There is something about this girl that is completely different from anything else, and it rekindles the possibility of hope.
I love you, Suki Steakhouse.
I love you too.
A lot of it seems to me to be about Suki's sexual awakening. you know, the whole she's a fairy, but metaphoric for her own power as a woman. And
Absolutely.
she's definitely had her fair share of learning through sex
She
in the
has.
show.
Yes, she has.
Arlene, not so much. You know, in an orgy with black
I
contact
remember that,
lenses,
yeah.
that was a good sex scene.
Yeah.
The night of the orgy.
Oh, God.
Which orgy?
There was just this moment where Alan and I were sitting behind the monitors, and we kind of couldn't believe how out of control this thing had gotten.
I think whole relationships were had within the 3 days of that. I saw a lot of things that I cannot burn from my memory.
Cannot unthink.
Yes.
Lolo Ednor
The thing about Marianne is what she was preaching was basically a life of sensual fulfillment with no guilt and no shame. There is actually something kind of appealing about that because, I mean, wouldn't it be great to just sort of like let some hot, sexy creature just devour you? Okay, we don't want that to happen in real life.
Really?
Well, some of us don't. But I think in a way, the show lets people sort of vicariously experience that through all the crazy things that happen to all the characters.
It's part of why the finale is daunting. As the person tasked with bringing this thing home, I'm very conscious of bringing it back to a center. I think we had a lot of wild sex. We really let go of convention, but I think people will sort of feel like this was a love story at the end of the day.
What about a song and dance number? People love song and dance
They
numbers.
love that. Let's chuck the finale and just do that.
That always works.
Yeah.
When in doubt.
Are you game?
Okay, you know I'm game.
Okay.
The villains on this show have never been just evil. Everybody has something primal inside of them. You know, how many of us would love to you know, somebody pisses us off? Wouldn't it be great just to behead them? A lot of times there's good and there's bad, and good must vanquish bad. But our show's about all of the stuff in between.
That's what I had so much fun with Eric's character. He's presented as the bad guy. People are quite lazy in a way, and they want to be fed in a way. It's like, okay, easy, good guy, bad guy, and the girl, great, and you eat your popcorn. But then when Godric appeared and you realize, wait a minute, he actually cares about this guy, and there's some warmth in there.
Godric.
I find that dramatically very interesting because then people go like, wait, no. I was rooting for this guy, but this was a bad guy.
Yeah, everybody's done something horrible.
Yeah, we love our vampires, but they can be pretty savage.
It's that vampire! Russell! What's his face?
Edgington. Peace is for pussies.
Russell Edgington, as played by the absolutely extraordinary Dennis O'Hare, is a total badass.
Put your fangs away.
He just had so much fun with that part.
Fantastic!
From watching him do Russell was just an absolute joy.
Oh, they will suffer for their sins, my beloved. I swear.
Like he was doing Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will eat you after we eat your children. Now time for the weather. Tiffany?
When that episode went out, the next day, Obama came into a huge press briefing and opened with, "Did anybody see True Blood last night?"
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like that scene when Sam is the fly and then he goes inside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that was good.
That was special.
that was amazing.
Long shot of puking in your mouth was
That was amazing.
what I talked about the next day around the water cooler for sure.
Ginger, enough! I asked you if you wanted my eyes and mouth open or closed.
That's correct. She's like, should I take it in the mouth?
Yeah.
You know, should my mouth be open? I'm like, yes.
It was a hose up the side of Long Shadow, And then if you followed the hose, there was a big orange ladder with like 2 construction workers pouring gallons of blood into this huge funnel, like shoving it in there. It felt like it lasted like a minute or 2.
It's scary when you have that cannon shooting liquid, because I had that recently.
Actually, it's not. Do you know why? Because nobody had ever had it before on the show, so I didn't actually know what was going to happen.
Also,
that was the first time that anyone
That
got...
was the first fire hydrant of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the day I fell for Anna.
Humans. Honestly, Bill, I don't know what you see in them.
There's a lot of
Norris'
good
death
deaths.
scene last year was interesting because it was a very emotional moment.
And so we end as we begin.
When I realized that she's drifting away, I kind of pick her up. They switch Wonderful Lucy out with a bag of blood. It's
blood balloon.
Yeah, like this size, basically. I have to play the second half of the scene holding this blood bag, and then it explodes in my hands. You're like, I'm on set of True Blood with a blood bag, like this balloon basically. Like, no, don't leave me! Don't leave me!
When Jessica and Hoyt first met in my bar,
Hi.
Hi.
the tension between them was just wonderful.
Honey, you know I'm a nice girl.
Because of your smile.
That just has always stuck in my mind as one of the most beautiful, well-acted scenes in the show.
One of my favorite episodes was where I got to birth the fairy babies. Another girl. Birthing those babies was great fun. And my favorite line I've ever gotten to say was in that episode as well, where I just got to look at Andy and say, "You're a dick."
The drug trip that Lafayette and Jesus got to go on. We actually got to control the camera. We were attached together and it was on a pole facing towards us. And so we were spinning with it and moving around. Once you see it edited, it looks so trippy. That was probably one of my favorite experiences.
Jason, thank you so much for inviting me into your home.
My favorite scene was where Steve came out of the closet to Jason.
You know, there's something that I've been gathering up the courage to tell you ever since the moment I found out you were sleeping with my wife. What hurt me was that she got to sleep with you.
That was really, for the first time, Steve Newland revealed who he was and what his truth was and what his real feelings were.
I'm a gay vampire American. And I love you, Jason Stackhouse.
It's insanity.
Our existence is insanity.
We had about 15 minutes to shoot Godric's death scene because it was as the sun was coming up.
Går du klar inte? Vi har haft århundraden av kärlek och tillit till varandra.
We rehearsed it for 3 hours, we blocked it, and then waited to the right time. Like, when we knew that, it was like, 6 minutes before you would see the sun on the horizon.
Let me go.
That was the only moment so far on the show where we knew we had 3 takes, and that was it.
The difficult thing about really coming to terms with the fact that this show is ending is that it's ending. And it's not another script or plot point or storyline. It's actually ending.
I hope that it is thought of as more than just, another supernatural show. Like, I hope that people go, it said something.
I would love for it to be remembered as the show that brought about world peace. To me, it's been the most fun thing I ever worked on. That's not to say all the other things weren't fun, but this one is the most fun, yeah.
I completely concur. Obviously, I met Anna that first day, and you don't expect to meet the person that you're gonna get married to on the job that you're doing, and have as much fun on the job as well.
The first season, I was like, everyone's so great, everyone's so nice and welcoming. You were like, this doesn't happen all the time. You were like, this is special, this is rare. And I've treasured that, the whole 7 years. It's meant, I think being on the show has meant everything to me.
I felt like I was nostalgic in the second season. You know, I was already dreading the end then.
Oh, it's going to be very emotional, I'm sure, now towards the end of this final season.
Yeah, it's going to be hard walking away from Lafayette's shoes. I'm going to miss...
I'm sure they'll give you the shoes.
I mean, I'm going to miss the makeup. I loved playing Lafayette. My friends sometimes would be like, dude, you're walking like Lafayette, stop. or out of all of a sudden, I'd be like, well, you know what we gonna do? And I go, oh, that's a Lafayette thing.
It'll be really hard to say goodbye. Even when a character dies or leaves the show, you know, a little piece of you goes, oh God, you know, I'll never see that character again, and a piece of that will also be sad for me.
It's actually hard to encapsulate what being part of a show like this means to me. I'll cry. You know, my husband was saying that's longer than high school and junior high. You know, except we don't have any of those bad people.
It was a childhood dream for me as a kid who grew up watching horror movies to get to play a monster.
I will remember and miss the people that I worked with on this show until my final days.
This little moment in time has been an absolute dream. Dream come true.
The show has changed my life. I will miss that terribly.